Here's something most people don't realize about Southern Leavenworth, Kansas, and it completely changes how you should look at home prices here. A lot of buyers think they're choosing between Leavenworth or Lansing, but what they're really buying in Southern Leavenworth is proximity to Lansing conveniences without always paying Lansing prices. And if you're relocating and don't know this area yet, that one detail alone can save or cost you tens of thousands of dollars. I'm Joe Nelson, lifelong Kansas Cityan, retired Air Force vet, and the guy who tells you what's actually going on in our neighborhoods, not the brochure version. Today we're doing a real deep dive into Southern Leavenworth, Kansas, how it compares to nearby Lansing, what the housing market actually looks like, and who this area truly makes sense for. If you're moving to the Kansas City area and want the honest version, hit subscribe. If you're relocating and still trying to understand how Leavenworth and Lansing relate to each other, call or text me, I will break it down. Southern Leavenworth ends up on so many shortlists even when buyers didn't plan on it, and here's why. This part of Leavenworth sits right north of Lansing, Kansas, which means quick access to shopping, dining, and daily essentials while still being part of the Leavenworth housing market. From a housing standpoint, Southern Leavenworth is primarily resale, with most homes built from the late 90s through the late 2000s, and very limited true new construction. You'll see a lot of ranch homes, split entries, and traditional suburban layouts, typically on quarter-acre or sometimes larger lots, which already separates this area from many newer, tighter KC developments. Here's where the comparison really matters. Over the past 12 to 24 months, Lansing is generally priced higher than Leavenworth for similar homes and lot sizes. Lansing's median sale prices have hovered in the low to mid 300s, while Leavenworth's recent medians were commonly in the mid to upper 200s. Price per square foot's very similar between the two markets, but Lansing buyers are often paying $20,000 to $40,000 more for comparable square footage, especially on 4-bedroom homes or newer layouts. Leavenworth, on the other hand, offers more entry-level pricing and a wider range, which is why value-focused buyers tend to land here once they zoom out and compare numbers instead of just city names. You'll also hear schools mentioned in this conversation. Southern Leavenworth generally feeds into the Lansing School District. But rather than telling you how to feel about that, I always recommend buyers look into district resources directly to decide if it aligns with what they're looking for. Boundaries can change and fit is personal. The bigger driver for most buyers here is location and value first. If you want a side-by-side comparison of Leavenworth versus Lansing homes that match your budget and layout needs, text me your price range and I will pull real examples. Let's be honest about Southern Leavenworth, Kansas. This isn't a hype video. Southern Leavenworth has a strong connection to Fort Leavenworth and the nearby federal penitentiary, and that shapes the local economy. Because of that, job diversity and entertainment options are more limited locally, and many residents commute to other parts of Kansas City for work, dining, or nightlife. Midwest weather is another real factor. Strong winds, ice in the winter, heat and humidity in the summer are just part of life here. Infrastructure, though, is also something buyers notice. Leavenworth is an older city, and there are vacant or aging buildings in certain areas that reflect that history. And finally, property taxes, they tend to be higher than many buyers expect, especially if you're relocating from out of state. Now, none of this makes Southern Leavenworth bad, but it does make it specific. Some people love that straightforward, no frills feel. Others realize pretty quickly it's not their vibe. If you want an honest conversation about whether those trade-offs make sense for your job, lifestyle, or relocation plans, call or text me. I'll be straight with you. This is where Southern Leavenworth quietly wins people over, the value. And a lot of that ties directly to the area's deep local and national history. Leavenworth was founded in 1854 as the first city in Kansas, growing alongside Fort Leavenworth, established in 1827 as a key army post along the Santa Fe and Oregon trails and one of the oldest active military installations in the country. The city also played a role in the Underground Railroad, with local abolitionists helping freedom seekers continue north, and later became home to the federal penitentiary, which further shaped the city's long-standing institutional and workforce presence. Because this area developed long before modern master plan suburbs, neighborhoods were built around function, land, and location, not amenities and branding. As a result, your money here typically buys larger lots, simpler layouts, and less density than many newer KC suburbs. You're not paying for flashy entrances or big HOA packages, you're paying for usable space and stability. Appreciation has followed the broader Kansas City market without the extreme swings seen in trend-driven areas, which is why Southern Leavenworth often makes sense for buyers focused on long-term value over short-term hype. If you want to see what your budget realistically buys you in Southern Leavenworth today, text me your name and number and I'll walk you through it. Living in Leavenworth doesn't mean you're stuck at home, so let's talk about where locals actually spend time. Starting with downtown Leavenworth, which really is the heart of the community. For dining, the Suburban is a standout with elevated comfort food, a legit cocktail menu, and a more modern vibe than most people expect when they first move. Shopping downtown is all about character, not chains, with places like Haymarket Square, the Leavenworth Antique Mall, and Artistic Works by Lou offering boutiques, vintage finds, gifts, and locally owned shops instead of rows of box stores. That said, Leavenworth does have the everyday essentials covered, including a Walmart supercenter, grocery stores, pharmacies, and the normal grab-and-go stops. And for even more options, though, most residents head just a few minutes south to Lansing, where you'll find Target, Home Depot, Menards, and additional shopping and dining that really round things out. And when people want the full shopping and entertainment experience, major retailers, outlet stores, restaurants, and movies, they typically head to the Legends outlets in Kansas City, Kansas, which is about 25 to 30 minutes depending on where you're coming from, or over to the Northland in Kansas City, Missouri, also about 25 to 30 minutes depending on traffic. For outdoor space and community events though, Leavenworth Landing Park and the riverfront area are go-to spots with walking paths, river views, festivals, and events that give the area its sense of place. And the Riverfront Community Center is another local favorite for sports, activities, and community gatherings in a beautiful setting. If you want to learn more about what downtown and Southern Leavenworth have to offer, reach out at the number on the screen. Let's ground all of this with a real example of a house, because this is what Southern Leavenworth actually looks like. 4923 Parkway Drive, one of our newer listings, is a 3-bed, 2-bath ranch built in 2008, sitting on almost half an acre in Pine Meadow Place. It offers over 1,600 square feet of living space, vaulted ceilings, a gas fireplace, an open kitchen dining layout, and a full walkout basement that's unfinished, which means storage now and flexibility later. Outside, you've got a deck overlooking open space and a pond view, a 2-car garage, and no HOA. This home is a perfect snapshot of Southern Leavenworth living. Practical, comfortable, and focused on usable space instead of flash. If you want to tour this home or see others like it in Southern Leavenworth, call or text me. So who is Southern Leavenworth, Kansas actually for? It's for buyers who value space over flash, simplicity over trendiness, and who are comfortable trading nightlife and variety for affordability and breathing room. It works well for people connected to Fort Leavenworth, buyers who want larger lots, and anyone who prioritizes value and stability over brand new everything. It's not for everyone though, and that's exactly why the people who choose it tend to stay. If you're relocating and want someone who will give you the honest version before you buy, I'm your guy. My contact info is on the screen. Call or text me anytime. I'm happy to help you figure out what actually fits.